Welcome everyone to this episode of Palmetto Guardian. Today we will be talking with State Command Sergeant Major about the GAFPB. Welcome everyone, I'm Sergeant Chelsea Baker.
And I'm Specialist David Erskine.
I don't know how long it's going to take me to get used to saying that. That still feels so weird to me.
The sergeant thing?
Yeah. I'm like so afraid I'm going to mess up, which I haven't yet, but it's just, I don't know, it's just weird because I don't have to say it all the time. Well, yet, I guess.
Yeah. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
I'm waiting for the day like when I have to answer my phone and I go, this is sergeant, and like make a fool of myself.
You should do it where you go specialist, sergeant, specialist.
Oh,
and try to keep
sandwich.
And try to keep count of that E4 sandwich. Yeah. Especially when people call you, I'm like, hey, is this Sergeant Erskine? I'm like, no, not anymore.
They're like confused because you're like Specialist Erskine.
Yeah, I mean it happens though. It's part of the military career.
Definitely it is.
I mean, I don't feel bad. I'm still doing my job.
You still have it. The rank to me doesn't really mean much. I think it's the experience and the knowledge, and you definitely have a lot of that.
I got a lot of something. I think would be the reference most people would make. But yeah, I mean, obviously I enjoyed being a sergeant. I didn't have a problem being a sergeant. I enjoyed it. And if it was to ever work out that I make it back to that, then that would be great. Didn't change how I felt about the Guard or my job or my mission just because, I was in a situation where I had to lose some rank. Mm-hmm. It didn't mean that I didn't come to work and do things at the same level I was trying to do before, or it didn't mean I stopped trying to teach you.
Yeah, because that would have been a problem.
So, yeah, I mean, it goes up, it goes down. Mission stays the same. Job still got to get done.
Exactly. You're just back to your old roots, and you're the commander of the E4 Mafia.
Yeah, the E4 Mafia.
Creator and commander. First
rule of the E4 Mafia is we don't talk about E4 Mafia. But
anyways.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's good. The rank has to go away at some point in time anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, at some point in time, we're all going to become civilians again.
Oh, that's true.
And all it is then is that point in time is a title that you use in reference to your retirement status.
Yeah.
But really, purpose of rank should be to get to a point where you leave the Guard, Army, whatever, military, better than
when you got in.
Right.
Yeah.
Rank shouldn't be looked so much as a privilege or a right as a level of responsibility and a heightened sense of duty.
That's a good way to put it.
Is really what it is, and I think sometimes we strew what rank really means and what rank really is intended for. I'm gonna steal a Marvel quote, but with great power comes great responsibility for all my Spider-Man fans out there. So yeah, I mean, it's if you're doing your job, you're doing it well. Rank obviously affects your pay and your position and stuff. But if you're in a situation where you were a rank and you had to come back down to the rank and behind it or whatever else for whatever the reason is, it doesn't change how you do your job.
Yeah,
you still do it to your highest ability. Just because you were doing it as a sergeant here doesn't mean you go, oh, I'm an E4, I'll do it at a lower level. Like I haven't learned stuff over this last 10, 15, whatever years it was. You still do it. Really, you should be doing it higher than what your rank level is.
Exactly.
Especially for the NCO Corps. Everybody should be striving to be technical professionals, as it were, and I know that's the Warrant Officer Corps, and they own that. But as enlisted people, we should always be trying to do our job at our highest level of proficiency. Just because you have rank doesn't mean that you get to back off. Job duties increase.
Yeah.
Should be harder. Shouldn't be easier.
Well, and they always say that whenever you're in one position, you should know how to do the job above you.
And below you.
And below you. And then that way you can teach the soldiers and airmen below you and pass that information on so that they continue to grow and grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've harped on that on a couple different podcasts, and I always think that it's the duty, responsibility, whatever words you want to attach to it, old timers, as it were, still a word, that have been around for a minute. You know, we get old and cranky in our careers, you know.
And you don't like change.
And we get territorial. Mm-hmm. Like, it's mine. I did this. Mine.
Kind of like when we got this new podcast equipment.
It's mine. In case anybody was wondering, it's mine until I leave. But no, it's not mine. It's whoever comes behind me, and that's why it was. I fought and we fought, and people helped us to get this equipment because hopefully it improves the Guard from a public affairs standpoint. Higher quality product. You know, obviously, if it sounds better, if it sounds more professional, then more people are likely to listen to it. We get more information out. Leadership get more of their information out to the soldiers. It gets widespread. You know, we mentioned the 500 subscribers.
It's been a while, but we're still pushing for it.
But, you know, I mean, in my mind, that's a low goal.
Oh, definitely.
A low goal. We have 10,000-ish soldiers and airmen. Every last one of them should be subscribed. And if you're an NCO or an officer or leader at any level, and you have soldiers or airmen underneath you, you obviously can't force them to do anything, but you should be suggesting it to them. Not for the purposes of boosting our numbers and making us look better as far as what we're accomplishing, but the information and the people that are coming on the podcast to talk to us are things that help soldiers and airmen's career and family life and all that, just a whole array. Because, I mean, we've had everybody on here so far from, you know, the TAG, service member family care, and anti-terrorism folks, cyber. We've had civilian folks on, the museums. I mean, we're covering every topic. Enlisted promotions. We're highlighting other soldiers that are, you know, doing great things, that their command are saying, hey, we'd like to, you know, make note of these people. This is a good opportunity. You know, we always talk about being able to get information to M-Day soldiers, you know, so they can know about these projects and courses and events and everything that we offer, you know. Here you go. This is an easy thing for them. It's on iTunes. It's on YouTube. They can pull it up. They don't have to have a CAT card, any kind of military network or anything. They pull it up in their car while they're riding around. You know, a lot of people already listen to podcasts. Obviously, we still have some perfecting to do in our podcast, but I think we're
heading in the right direction.
Heading in the right direction.
New equipment was number one.
New equipment helps. We obviously need to. We can always refine the process. You know, maybe length of the conversations need to be looked at, and, you know, maybe the content that we actually cover. But that comes from people getting involved with the podcast and getting on YouTube and leaving comments so that we know. I mean, that's
what works and what doesn't work.
I mean, that's where the Enlisted podcast came from. Somebody called us and said, hey, you know, we'd love to hear about the enlisted promotion process so that we can, you know, have a better knowledge of it. So we went and found the person to come talk to you about it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, if you're already somebody who listens, or have listened, and you come across this in particular podcast, share it with the airmen, the soldiers, you know, and say, hey, if you don't listen to every one, just keep a track of it, because there might be a topic come up that's important to you, you know, at some point.
Or if there's a topic that you haven't we haven't talked about,
Right.
definitely let us know, because like you said with the enlisted promotion, I mean, somebody suggested it, and within a week or two, we had them in the studio shooting a podcast, and now it's out there for people to listen to and watch. So, I mean, definitely interacting and letting us know what you want to hear, because we're here for the airmen and the soldiers. This is their platform. We're just the spokesperson for it.
And I mean, we have a whole list of podcasts we haven't gotten to yet. I mean, we still have some of the leadership we want to talk to. We're working on that. We'd like to get education in at some point in time, because we know education's a big deal for a lot of people. We're try to do that before the upcoming spring semester if possible. Some of our civilian partners and stuff like that. Get them in so that you can know kind of who's all part of the military department as a whole, and who are working in some of the state folks. Museum has events coming up in the near future. We're going to try to get them back on. So, I mean, there's just a whole lot of stuff out there, and it's a good opportunity for soldiers and airmen to have, like I said, you don't have to watch or listen to every podcast, but you should be subscribed kind of one area or the other, just in case a topic comes across. And we're looking to fix a lot of stuff. We're not just saying, hey, we're happy with where it is. We're looking at doing several different things to improve the YouTube channel and things like that, so that information's easier to find, more digestible, and things like that. So even outside of just the podcast, we're bringing all kinds of new stuff.
Yeah.
And like we said before, new soldier in the studio area helping us to work, and he's got his talent sets that he's bringing to this fight for us, and so we're going to be able to do some interesting stuff with him.
Yep.
And if I can ever get Sergeant Baker straightened out, then I get her talent set brought in.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
I won't have to tote the load so much, but we're
still playing with the buttons.
Still playing with the buttons. But yeah, I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, and with that, we have a special guest here today to talk to us about a kind of a big topic, I guess, for the state, for M-Day soldiers and airmen to get out, be recognized, possibly earn an award, I guess, in a sense, something extra that they can wear with pride on their uniform. So I guess we'll just get into that and see what our special guest has to say. So today we have State Command Sergeant Major Russ Vickery, the South Carolina National Guard Command Sergeant Major, and he's going to talk to us about some topics today. So thank you for coming, Sergeant Major.
You're welcome. I appreciate being here.
So what should we start with? Maybe the GAFPB, since it's coming
Yeah,
up?
the GAFPB's closing in soon on us, so I say we start, because we actually have a lot of interest from soldiers of, how do they register, how do they get involved, what are the events, and things like that. So, hey, but we've had a few questions about it. So I think with it being the most upcoming event, I say we start there and see where the conversation takes us.
Okay. Well, the South Carolina National Guard has a unique relationship with the German Armed Forces out of Reston, Virginia, called GAFCOM. And due to developing that relationship, we have came into some annual events that we conduct the GAFPB here in South Carolina. So the next GAFPB event right now is coming up on Veterans Day weekend, and we host it every Veterans Day weekend. This year the dates will be 9, 10, and 11, so it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it's not an all-day event on each one of the days. It's half a day on Friday, most of the day on Saturday because you're shooting and swimming, and then half a day on Sunday because you'll ruck out that morning, and then we'll have the award ceremony. So German Armed Forces Command sends soldiers down here from Reston, Virginia to be the proctors, and we have a state proctor here. That would be Staff Sergeant Davin Fowler. And he will have the contact information that you would do to contact him to get on the list out there. Normally, we try to allocate for 150 slots. It's conducted at McCready Training Center. Last year, we had 154 people compete. We had 99 people earn the badge of various ones from bronze, silver to gold. It's a physically intense challenging event. If you want to do it, I would encourage you to research GAFPB on there. There's a running 12-mile, a 7.5-mile ruck with a 35-pound pack, swimming, shooting, and the German basic fitness test, which involves an arm hang, 1,000-meter sprint, and a shuttle run.
Now, for soldiers out at the units or wherever they may be in the state, do they go to their readiness NCO commander? Who can they reach out to, I guess, at the unit level, or what would be their best path if they wanted to get in touch to? I know you mentioned Staff Sergeant Fowler, correct? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't have his information or his contact or forgot his name, what would be their best route, I guess, finding out when and how?
I would tell you that as early as the end of this week, we'll push out on social media, on the Sergeant Major Vickery's Facebook page, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitter, and any on the skip page and stuff as well. We will push out the information telling you when the GAFPB is and where it is. And the contact information for Sergeant Fowler will be in that flyer. And it will be up to you to contact him. Of course, South Carolina National Guardsmen have first refusal at it, but we'll put a suspense date out there, probably 31 October. If slots aren't filled by then we'll open them to all active duty forces, Army, Air Force, Marines, ROTC, and so on. And normally we have a lot of participation from other entities because this is one of the few places that you can get a guaranteed event every year, and it's a well-ran event.
Now, this is something that they can wear on their uniform too, correct?
That's correct. The GAFPB can be worn on the officer's uniform and the NCO's uniform. The other German event that we do host in South Carolina sometimes, it's going to become an annual event, is the Schützenschnee. It's a shooting competition. So we'll conduct that in concert with a GAFPB in mid-May, but it will be limited availability. But that is an enlisted-only award to be worn, but the officer can earn it, but they cannot wear it on their uniform.
That's pretty cool because the first time I learned about it, which was several years ago when we kind of got hot and heavy into doing them, I think maybe they've been done here and there sporadically, but then it got super consistent. But I've had the opportunity to come out and see some of them, and it is a tough event. Like, you don't just walk in there and go, with no prep and go, I got this. Yeah. What do you think is the hardest part for most soldiers? Is it the swim? Is it the ruck? Is it the shooting? Where do you see?
Yeah, and you asking that's something everybody always asks coming in, and the Germans will tell you. In fact, Hans Dieter Scheer is the Command Sgt. Major for German Armed Forces. And he tells me, hey, Russ, it's always the swim. Everybody says, hey, that's not a big deal. I can swim that. But till you get in the water and actually try it, because you got to swim 100 meters, and then you have to tread water and remove your top and your bottom and throw them out of the pool. And I've seen some very fit guys and girls get to the end, and there's no breath left, and survival instinct takes over, and you grab the side of the pool. So.
Oh yeah, because that's part of the rule. You're not even the little ropes and stuff that run.
Correct. You can't have any assistance, and the Germans are there to verify that. So it is a tough event. So if I would tell you to practice for anything, practice the swim. The ruck is the ruck, and that's easy to practice for. And the rest of it is physically challenging, but the same as we have an APFT and an ACFT now coming in. This is the German BFT and the GAFPB. So this is what they do every year for their event.
Now, other than in November, is the event, because I know it's part of the Best Warrior competition, but other than that, are those the only 2 times a year where people can participate in the GAFPB?
In South Carolina, yes.
Okay.
This year in South Carolina, we'll conduct the GAFPB and a Schützenschnee, but we'll conduct the GAFPB literally 3 times between here and the next year. We'll do it in November of this year. We'll have the GAFPB also incorporated within the Best Warrior competition, and we'll also have Germans competing with us inside our state Best Warrior competition. And then this year, South Carolina is actually the host for Region 3 for the Best Warrior competition. So all of the states that are in Region 3, all of the winners of each one of those states will come here, and as part of that competition, the Germans have agreed to conduct a Schützenschnee and a GAFPB in combination with that one as well. So there'll be three opportunities there. The biggest opportunity, of course, is in November because it's Veterans Day weekend. It's an off-duty weekend for most people. We don't require that a commander split train or unless they want to. That's completely up between the soldier and the command. The only prerequisite is that you've got to be in some type of duty status, i.e. retirement point order, or either split trained or an RMA, something that lets us know what type of duty status you're in case something does happen to you. But the tag fully supports the integration with foreign armed forces, and we look forward to even trying to get the Colombians and integrate some of their competitions and stuff in there as well. But the Germans have just been super great to work with, and we've developed a great friendship and a great relationship. And in fact, I'll be going up there to visit them at their Oktoberfest here at the end of this month.
Yeah, I actually got I was on a mission. We had to fly up there, and I got to see their facilities and stuff up in that area, and super nice group of individuals and stuff, and got to shoot some footage of them in last year's Best Warrior competition. And it was kind of interesting, you see, because they don't do it all the time, you see them struggle with, our parts of it, but then you watched our soldiers like in the swim and stuff, and that was something they weren't used to, and it kind of hit them, which kind of transitions to the fact that the Best Warrior competition is right around the corner. And I actually went and covered Aviation's their local unit Best Warrior competition not too long ago. And by the way, they have a stud runner out there. I can't remember his name, or I'd give him massive amounts of props. But when I say he was way ahead of everybody, he was way ahead of everybody. So for anybody that's interested, you better get your fast shoes on, because that guy can move. But the Best Warrior competition is something that's grown hugely in the state of South Carolina, and has kind of hyped people up. But that's coming around in January, correct?
Correct. Best Warrior competition will take place the last week of January. I'd have to look again to give you the exact dates, but it starts on a Saturday and ends on a Wednesday, so it's a 4.5-day competition. And last year we had some folks that had their mile monitors on their wrist, and when we were done, it was about 62 miles on your boots when everything was done. And it's a physically grueling, mentally taxing, even a little sleep deprivation, because we do sleep out in the woods in January, in tents and stuff out there. But it tests your basic soldier skills, and it really gets after what General Milley talks about and what our Adjutant General talks about is soldier readiness and soldier lethality. You're going back to your basic soldier skills across the board, whether you be from aviation or from air defense or from signal or from infantry or engineers. It doesn't matter where you're from. You're all going to compete on the same playing field with basic soldier skills, anything from medical tasks to U.S. weapons to hand grenades to, you name it, it's out there. And we try to make it as tough and as realistic as possible. Probably one of the most exciting things we had last year was a Puget State competition late into the competition when some people were really tired. And that was a big morale boost for everyone, and it actually kind of shows you, if I've been fighting for the last 3 days and now I really got to go hand to hand with somebody, what have I got left in the tank?
And I will say, because we've been fortunate enough to do the state competition and the regional competition, and if you want to get ready for regionals, our state competition is way harder, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But just watching, it was intense. I mean, and the cool thing about it is, and he mentioned the camaraderie and everything out there, but all these guys are competing, but at the same time, you see them constantly grabbing each other and like, come on, just a little bit more, and they start working as a unit, from all over the state. It just shows how well they come together and start doing this type of stuff.
One of the things that I tell soldiers as we start our Best Warrior competition, and if there's something that I wanted to get out there to all the soldiers in the South Carolina National Guard, to go and compete, whether it be at your company level, your battery level, your battalion level, or your MSC level, all of that is going to pay you dividends in the end, because you're going to get a chance to show people what you're really all about, what it means to be there, and that you've got the heart to go and do something extra that's out there. When we get soldiers up to the state level, they're always, one of the requirements is that competitor must bring a sponsor with them. And that sponsor needs to be one of those people that was coming up and competing for that Best Warrior competition within the MSCs, within the battalions. And then there's always many support personnel that we ask for also that the G3 helps us fund. And I would encourage that to be those folks as well, because getting up there and getting to that level and getting to meet everybody across the MSCs, again, gets back after General McCarty's, what we're talking about is integrating our forces and everybody fighting together. So the aviation gets to know the infantry, and the infantry gets to know the signal guys, and the signal guys, the medical guys. So it already starts down that road. I would say, we've been doing it with the Best Warrior competition ahead of where we're actually heading as a state now, back to combined arms operations. So it's a good precursor for it. And I have soldiers that have competed up to 2 and 3 years ago when I first took this job, and we had our first competition. In fact, I'll mention a soldier, Sergeant Valletta Burgess now, is coming here to do a podcast with you guys on Friday, because she is a world-class athlete, 800-meter indoor champion and 800-meter outdoor champion, U.S. and Canada. So she is a proof, of what happens when you get involved in that, and you get your name out there and you get recognized. Other Best Warriors, they all come to mind, and you see them as you're going throughout the force out there. Ray Felton is another great one out there, is a ranger with our state that works in the state park system. But also one of his proudest accomplishments, and he'll tell you, was being a Best Warrior.
Yeah, and I gotta admit, I like where a lot of states, and I guess maybe even at one point in time here, Best Warriors just kind of something that happened. There wasn't a whole lot of interest or hype or whatever, but like it's become a Super Bowl event for us now, which is super awesome, because like you said, not only I maybe from a soldier standpoint, it's not just the fact of getting out there and getting seen and whatever else, but it gives you this kind of platform for younger enlisted people to get out there and have an impact, I guess, at a larger level, which you don't always get to have in your career. That doesn't happen for everybody. That's so having that platform for them is amazing. It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the ones.
Yeah, it's fun covering it and watching and meeting everybody and all the different obstacles. It's intense, but it's pretty cool to see.
Well, and another good piece to put in there is we talked a little bit about the Germans and the integration of the GAFPB. Until this year, and I still don't know of anybody else that does it, South Carolina is the only state that integrates and figured out how to integrate the GAFPB, because the GAFPB must take place in a structured order, so you have to fit that within the training schedule. You can't do one of it one day and a part the other day. It has to flow correctly within the training standard in order for it to be legal with the Germans. But the bigger part of it is, or the strategic view of it is, here we are training with the people that we're going to go and fight with at a war, because it's a fact that America will never go on its own to fight a war again. It'll be a coalition, and this just teaches us about reaching out across those international lines and learning new state partners that are out there, that folks that we can work with.
Yeah, it's good. It's a fun event. It's a fun event all the way around. So while we're on the topic of physical fitness, not too far around the corner here is the ACFT, and we'll be doing that as diagnostic, correct? Coming in the next year.
Yeah, the ACFT will start as a diagnostic 1 October of this year, so it'll be in FY20, and we'll go with that for a full year, and then it'll become test of record. Right now, unless something changes from the TRADOC standpoint, it'll become test of record FY21, which will be October 1 of 20.
And we've got a lot of people buzzing around, trying to get a grip on this. And I've talked to a couple of people about it, and they're like, it's not necessarily hard. It's different, because it's something we haven't. I mean, we've been doing something the same way for
40 years. Yeah. It's been roughly 40 years since the Army's changed its physical fitness test. And over the years, and I've been in long enough to see a lot of those changes, a lot of times you've heard we're going to change, and of course it never came to fruition because it didn't gain any steam. But this time when General Milley said, we're going to change because it's about soldier readiness and soldier lethality, the ACFT is grounded in a concept called H2F. So that's health and functional fitness. So if you wanted to learn more about it, I would tell you to visit Fort Eustis's website, but I would highly encourage you to go on the South Carolina National Guard app, because we have tons of information out there under the tab of current soldier that talks to you about all the things that are going on with the ACFT. And also, if you're a soldier that is in a remote location, which most of us, let's take it, we're spread all across the state. And, until we get equipment at every armory in every state, so every soldier has an opportunity to get to an armory to be able to use it, you're going to be looking for ways to work on this test. And the ACFT itself is a lot of science goes behind it. Dr. East from the IMT up in Tradoc was actually the founder of putting this test together. And the indicators of physical fitness are what it actually does for us on a combat level. How is a soldier going to perform in combat is between 75 to 80% in this test. Whereas the current APFT is about a 20% indicator of how a soldier is going to react on the battlefield due to the movements and things that you need to do during the ACFT. The ACFT focuses heavily on core power. So the 2 mile run is still out there, but it's interlaced with a lot of other different things, so that when you're talking about toting kettlebells, you're replicating ammo cans. When you're talking about throwing a medicine ball, you're hefting sandbags. When you're doing your deadlifts, you're talking about picking up a litter with a 200-pound, 300-pound soldier on it with gear and everything. So all of the things that are done on there are all interrelated to combat tasks that we provide. So if you wanted to go on the app as well, there is an ACFT 14-day WOD, a workout of the day. And that WOD is specifically built around soldiers that don't have access to equipment. And if you look at each day of those WODs, you'll see how it relates to what exercise that we're talking about. And it may be carrying water cans, it may be doing V-ups, a different type of push-up, but all alternate exercises, be it lunges or reverse lunges or stretches. There's lots of different ways to get after it, but this one here in particular was developed so that you could train for the ACFT without having to have the actual equipment there.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, because I think that was a big concern for a lot of people. And, people are like, am I going to have to go join a CrossFit gym to be able to do this and things like that. So it's good to know that the app, the South Carolina National Guard app, it's on Android and Apple, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so you can go into either one of those stores, download it. Not only does it have the ACFT information, but it just has a plethora of information. We've even had some requests we're going to try to get to on the podcast for enlisted promotion, but I know there is information on promotions and things like that on the app also, plus information that comes directly from
the Sergeant Major.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to spend a little more time on the app, the current promotion lists are on the app and they are updated on a regular basis. They are out there. So all you have to do is go in and look. Another thing that's on the app that a lot of soldiers may or not be tracking, depends on whether they've got the app on their phone or they take the time to look at it. I actually go in there and make sure that all of the AGR and all the technician jobs for the state are posted on the app as well. They exist in 2 different areas. One's under soldier links for jobs and the other one's under AGR jobs, because one's a PDF and one's a web link. But we find a way to use it and put it out there. So the only thing that limits the amount of information is out there on the app is the feedback from the soldiers in the field to tell me, what do you want to see on the app? And again, I'll put a plug out there for reading. I tell all soldiers, especially NCOs and above, if you're not reading, you're wrong. You need to be understanding what's going on in our environment out there and gaining a world view, if you will, of things that are going out there. And there's tons and tons of great books to read out there. And if you don't have time and your life's too busy, there are free apps out there. One is RB Digital and the other one's Overdrive. And the access to RB Digital is actually on the app right there to tell you exactly how to do it. So instead of purchasing Audible and having another $6.99 a month come out of your credit card, the Army, through the Army MWR library, provides this for you.
Yeah.
And you can do all types of leadership reading, or you can listen to audiobooks or read magazines and stuff on there. So it's another free service that soldiers just don't know that's out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the reading, but you mentioned the reading because you actually you keep a list of your preferred reading list, I guess.
Correct.
On there.
Yeah,
So that's what that's involved in. I flipped there.
Yeah.
I look.
The app is awesome though, because you've been talking about it forever now, and I think a lot of people don't realize the information that's on it, because everybody always says the skip page, the skip page. Well, if you're not full time, a lot of MDA soldiers don't know about the skip page. They don't know how to access it. And to know that you can go on the app and there's the job listings there and there's all this other resources, especially with the ACFT people are asking and where you can get information. So I think that's a good resource, is that everybody just needs to have the app. And I know you preach it all the time, Sergeant Major, so I learned something new today as well, because I didn't know that all that. I mean, I knew a lot of it was, but I didn't know the job was on there. I didn't know that there was the ACFT stuff. So,
Yeah. And in our digital one-click culture, we want to be, as I try to. My grandkids probably, I would say, keep me honest, because I have to Snapchat with my youngest granddaughter, and I do have a YouTube channel. I do have Twitter. So I have all types of ways to reach out, and I get a lot of soldiers that do reach out to me via whether it be Gmail or mail or a Facebook message, from Afghanistan, pops up in the middle of the night, but if I'm up, I'm going to answer the phone, and we'll respond. So I have, and somebody said, well, what are you going to do when you get too busy or too many ask? And so far that hasn't happened. So I would tell you to make that a problem for me, and we'll get somebody else to help us with it.
Yeah, that's right. Great to have to work on the solution, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty cool, because it can be, it's kind of hard sometimes, especially in a leadership position, to make yourself that accessible to people, especially in the digital age, because everything's there and it's 24/7. They can get to you at any time. But that's really awesome that you do put that out there, and for any of the soldiers out there that are listening, you shouldn't take it for granted that you have a state command sergeant major that's so willing to interact with y'all. So that's not always the case. So be appreciative, I guess.
Yeah, and I'll preface that, and this is, of course, it's on the app, but the state sergeant major, I do have an open door policy, and you can read on the app, on the open door policy, it tells you if you've got an issue, please take it through your chain of command first. But you've always got an open door if you need to contact me or see me. And if you need to contact me in reference to something you've talked with your chain of command about, just let them know that you're going to come contact me. That is an open door policy that is built for that. So there is a legal piece of paper that's out there that tells you can do it.
Yeah, that's good. And it's important for soldiers, airmen, anybody in the military to kind of have that, even if it's not for the purpose of ever actually using it, just to know that it's available is nice sometimes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned our airmen too. I had a few of our airmen contact me also about the GAFPB competition, and anything that we do within our ranks that is a shared event like that. We always want our air brothers and sisters involved with us, just like we work disc commissions together. Then we can work all of those things together as well. And when we talk about combined arms operations, we're both Army and Air, so of course they're always welcomed into those events.
Yeah, and we had a few out before, and I've noticed that too, just covering some of the extra stuff, like SADOT and the Best Warrior competitions and all that kind of stuff. You're starting to see a lot more of our Air Guard folks come out too, which is awesome, because sometimes we get a little separated, green and blue, and that.
Well, now you can't really tell the
now
difference.
You can't really tell. Now that you can't really tell who we are, now we're all the same. But that's really good. Now, a topic, and actually it kind of popped up in pre-discussion here in the studio, but it's something that soldiers have been talking about is a whole. What word am I looking for? I want to say transition, but that's not right.
Oh,
cross training.
No, reclassification.
Reclassing, that's the word I'm looking for.
Reclassification. Yeah.
So reclassification. Some people are getting a couple years and maybe finishing up their first enlistment run, and they're on the edge like, I want to stay in, but I'd like to do this maybe. But that's become a big push, I guess, at leadership level to say, hey, if you want to cross train, the opportunity's there. Reclass. Correct me, Baker. Reclass. Then that opportunity's there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would tell you each case is taken on its own. But yeah, if you're a soldier who is finishing their first 6 when you signed up, and you've done this and you kind of decided, I want to stay in the Guard. We want you to stay in the Guard. To be a soldier and have gone through basic and AIT, that's a lot of heartache that you put on yourselves, and it's a lot of hard work that very few people are capable of doing. And now we want to get you to the next step in your career. And if that step in that career doesn't happen to be the MOS you originally chose, the sooner you start that conversation with your leadership, the better. You know, at a year out, at a year and a half out, you need to be talking and thinking about that. You don't need to wait till 30 days before your ETS and say, hey, I'd like to reclass. You know, so the sooner you talk about that kind of information and things, we always need good soldiers everywhere. We have many vacancies throughout many MOSs that are out there that, you know, if you've gotten into an MOS that the rank's pretty hard to move because it's a low-density MOS, and let's say you were an engineer and you wanted to become an infantryman, or let's say you were an air defense guy and you wanted to become an Apache pilot or girl. So all of that's available out there. So let's say you were an air defender and you wanted to become a 46 Quebec, a public affairs specialist. You know, all those things are out there and available. You just got to ask, because the old saying goes, or what I use many times in talking to soldiers, is closed mouth don't get fed. So we can't help you if we don't understand what you want in there. And more now than ever in this digital age, however you want to call it here, I mean, we grow into it and stay with it. You can either understand it or get left behind. But soldiers now more than ever want to know the whys and the hows of things. And we encourage them to ask. If you don't ask, you'll never know.
And you kind of mentioned with the Apache pilot stuff, but that's another opportunity. I always hate to lose a good enlisted person, and obviously at some point in time we'll talk to the state chief warrant officer. But that's something else that's out there. Is, you know, if you're good in your field and you're doing the work, it's always worth to ask about the warrant officer program and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, the warrant officer program, general rule is you need 2 years in a leadership position as an E5 in a leadership position in order to put a warrant packet in. But many chances for the warrants that are out there, and it's not for everybody. It's definitely a technical expertise field that you feel you'd like to go into. But I highly encourage our NCOs that want to become warrants to, you know, don't hesitate to walk down that path and see if it's right for you.
Yeah, that's not right for you, Baker. No, we don't have one. It's just the
we
way
don't have
public
one.
affairs works. So yeah, I mean, good opportunities out there. There's a lot of events coming down the road. I mean, as always, we're going to be super busy with all kinds of stuff. GAFPB, Best Warrior, outside of just normal missions and stuff. But I think that's just a good thing about our Guard. We always have something to engage us here. I don't know how other states run. I'm going to assume they're just not as cool and as high speed as we are. Not to take a shot at anybody out there, but I'm just saying, a little state pride going on here.
I'll add another piece in there for you too. We do work heavily with the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina.
Yeah.
So we have a great relationship with our counterparts down there at the Citadel, and Dr. Dan Bornstein in particular is the head of the physical fitness and strength and conditioning department down there, and we've been working together for a couple of years. And he does a good analytical look at what we're doing within our state, and we partner to go out and look and see how do we take the next step within our state, and how will it affect the state of South Carolina as a whole in changing the fitness culture of the entire state. So something that is out there on the horizons that is still in planning stages, but we're actually looking at maybe doing a joint venture and bringing the Battle Challenge back to South Carolina. And the Battle Challenge is something based on the Firefighter Challenge. I would liken it to American Ninja Warrior,
yeah.
You know, so that it's a portable obstacle course that's set up that is a very physically demanding course that creates a ton of competition, that something that we're working towards bringing it back again. And we bring it back and bring it down there with the Citadel. We may entertain bringing it here to Columbia and maybe out here near their stadium and inviting Columbia in and do it again in the upstate. So really just we're only limited by how we can dream.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to take, because you talked about working with people to help increase the physical standards and stuff. I will say from personal experience that you're a huge advocate of this, and not just for soldiers who are already athletes or airmen that are already athletes, but really for people, more so for people who are struggling or who have suffered injuries or whatever, trying to get back in the saddle. You've been a huge advocate and push, and I've personally been involved in some of the programs as they come down the line. I know we didn't necessarily have this on the agenda to talk about, but since you kind of brought up the stuff, but you've been awesome in that realm. And I'm glad to see that we're continuing that. And I know you're always working on something to help soldiers and airmen out as far as improving their physical fitness. Not, like I said, not necessarily the natural born athletes that are out there, even though a lot of the programs will still work for them, but it's really for us folks who struggle from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, we have to get something that works for everybody. And in the end, if we can affect our guys and girls within the South Carolina National Guard, both Army and Air, well, all of us are going to affect our families, and those families will affect others within the community. And we can have a resonating effect throughout the state that can literally change the culture of the state if we put our minds to it. I'll mention another good program that's out there that we're looking and trying to incorporate along with a fitness app. I would tell you that everybody throughout the Army structure is seeking out some type of application that works for them in order to put it together. And we've been working with Coach Bewley in Clemson with the DWMA program, Dynamic Movement Assessment Program, which is something that I feel is a good physical indicator for us that would help our soldiers, because he looks at the musculoskeletal structure and how it relates to athletes and how it relates to people in general, so that you're not out there just running and hurting yourself when you should really be doing some other type of exercise in order to strengthen something before that happens. So that conversation continues between Dr. Bornstein and Coach Bewley and others about incorporating his stuff into an app for the state of South Carolina to give our soldiers, again, something else they can put in their hand and train with, and not only themselves but their families as well.
There you go. It just proves that they're always working for us, Baker. even when you're sitting in the office and think that they're not doing anything for us, they're always working for us, Baker.
Okay.
Always. Which is good. I appreciate it on a personal level, because I have struggled. Most people know that. So yeah, I'm always super excited. There's a lot of information today, a lot of good stuff. You're always welcome back here. I mean, this is y'all's show in studio. We just work here, type thing. But I think it's always good for y'all to come down. And when I say y'all, I'm talking about all the leadership to come out and get some FaceTime, even if it's just video FaceTime or audio FaceTime with the soldiers and airmen, because they like hearing, from y'all. They like it. It helps them know, a little comfort factor in it and stuff. So, always good to have you here. I hope you come back.
I will. And if I can give a closing note to the soldiers and airmen out there, get prepared for combined arms. If you haven't trained, if you've always just trained with your group before, well, get ready. It's going to change. Get ready to be seeing folks that you haven't seen before, to integrate that training and use every tool at your disposal out there to do it. Don't be afraid of the infantry guys, or don't be afraid of the engineers and everything. We all work together. If we fight, and we just had a unit go through NTC out there, it's an eye-opener that you understand all of those pieces are required, even multi-domain. So you have to have Marines and airmen and Navy and Air Force and all those guys working together to make it work. So, we do not fight alone. So I would tell them to look forward to it, and also to make sure that you're putting your questions out there. If you have questions, we can't help you if we don't know. But listen to what your leaders are saying, because they're bringing you the tag's intent.
Good deal.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sergeant Major, for stopping in
Thank
and
you.
talking with us.
So it was really good to have Sergeant Major come in and talk to us today.
Yeah, always good to have him on the show.
Yeah, all the leadership.
Especially from the enlisted standpoint. It's nice to have that connection, see it out there, and then learn about something like the GAFPB, which is going to be super fun.
I know. I mean, I've heard about the GAFPB, and the first time I experienced watching it was during the Best Warrior competition. So it's different to see it as just the GAFPB and not something that's been added to another event. And it's super intense. So I'm excited to see how that's going to go.
I mean, like you said, you got in the water.
I know.
In the water. Somebody's going to make fun of the water thing, but whatever. But yeah, it's a different game when you're in there and you're
I know, in your uniform. And I mean, I was just hanging on the side trying to shoot video. I wasn't even swimming back and forth. And it was still tough trying to hold yourself up.
And then you talk about, I mean, it's one thing to do it in the GAFPB. It's another thing to do it in the middle of the best warrior competitions when you're 2 to 3 days in, been sleeping in the field, you've been running, you've done APFTs and all this stuff. And all of a sudden it's like, you want me to swim how long?
You want me to ruck for how long?
Yeah, exactly.
I have to shoot how many weapons and
That's
get how many in the center?
That's right. Like, if I can figure out which direction the weapon is supposed to go, I've done good, and I should get honorable mention at that point in time. But no, I mean, it's a good event. Hopefully, a lot of people, come out for it. It'll be interesting to be out there and watching it, and see what's going on, and who does what and how they do it.
Exactly. But I know that earlier we mentioned kind of about the subscriber thing, but I don't think we really talked about exactly what we meant by that. So
well, you want to talk about what we meant by that?
we're trying really hard. I mean, starting out, Erskine had this crazy idea of getting 1 point some million. I don't even remember.
1.3.
Was it 1.3?
Yeah.
And
we're close.
I mean, we're a lot closer. We're a lot closer than where we started. I can tell you that.
Yeah. We're still like 1.279 something
like that.
It's a lot.
But for an incentive for everybody, I know we talked about it a couple times, but I would really like to create a blooper video, but we want to create that as an incentive for 500 subscribers. So we're not too far off.
No.
But if you're watching, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, because I mean, we go through and look at all of the analytics and stuff, and we know you guys are watching. You're just not hitting that button. So make sure you're hitting that button so that when we post new videos, that you know that they're posted and you can watch the next episode.
Yeah, I think the YouTubers say like, subscribe, and hit the notification buttons. Keep up with all the latest content.
Exactly, and we're kind of revamping the way we do this, especially now that we have new equipment. Yay.
Yay.
I guess you didn't want to hit your little button. Yep, there you go.
I hit it.
You hit the right one.
There we go. I'm still learning it.
You need to put little tags next to them.
Well, I want to record different stuff to go on there.
Well, that'll be
I'm Batman. Needs to go on one.
That's exactly what we need, is a I'm Batman button over there for you to keep pressing.
Yeah. So yeah, just like, subscribe, follow our stuff. If you're watching it, other soldiers and airmen out there. Like I said, this is informational stuff. A lot of the questions that you have about the Guard, we're answering. Listing stuff, what the leadership wants, upcoming events, how to protect yourself in the cyber world. I mean, there's just information after information, all service member family care, what they offer. So, I mean, there's plenty of stuff to learn here.
Exactly. And we're trying to revamp the YouTube page. So it might not
bear
be,
with us.
Yes, it might be not visually pleasing right now, but we're trying to get things reorganized so that it'll be a little bit easier for those who are watching and go on YouTube and all that fun stuff, that they can search and find the videos a lot easier.
Yep. All the content that we're making. Exactly. A nice, neat package.
All right. Well, I'm Sergeant Chelsea Baker.
And I'm Specialist David Erskine.
And we'll catch you in the next episode.